Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Intelligence Mod Pod. Of course, I am Bobby with you always, here to teach you everything I know about Dungeons and Dragons 5th Edition. And today, I was able to get JP from the Knights of T20 here with me. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So today, we're going to be talking about equipment. Now, this is going to be a very baseline equipment conversation. We're not going to go into every single little piece of equipment, because we all know what a mirror does. And I don't feel like we need to waste a whole lot of time talking about what a mirror does. What is your absolute favorite piece of equipment in Dungeons and Dragons 5th Edition?
Oh wow. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Um, Probably I don't know. Besides a weapon with which to smack.
Yeah. I mean, if that's your answer, go for it.
Now, I've seen a lot of funny things happen with ball bearings.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when people look through the long list of adventuring gear and they're like, "Oh, what clever thing can I do?" If they choose ball bearings, they usually have comedy in their hearts, and I love that. The
I,
guards slipping and chases foiled. They're so I'd go with ball bearings.
I would absolutely agree that they are always comical. They're always fun. I did a campaign once where one of our players, I would almost say that his entire character was like built around ball bearings, and that's like
Nice.
all
That's
that's
a
all he
respectful
really
choice.
did. That's all he did. It was amazing, Pedro. If you're listening, shout out.
It's
But it was
ba-
just ball bearings everywhere.
you're basically Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone with ball bearings.
Absolutely. So those who don't know, ball bearings, what they do is you just scatter like 100 on the ground. I think 100 is the lowest you can do at a time, and people literally just slip and fall down on them. It,
And
it
everybody laughs and laughs.
it's not like a game-changing piece of equipment, but sometimes it is. I will say that spreading them on a doorway and then having each of the enemies kind of walk in and all slip simultaneously, amazing. Because then they're prone, which we talked about, and that means you have advantage on attacking them.
Or if somebody's chasing you and you want to make the getaway, just throw down some 200 or so ball bearings. They fall. You get away with your gold.
Yeah. People out there like myself who love to play support-oriented characters, these are for you. If you want to play a support-oriented rogue, what you want to do is just run in with your ball bearings, throw them down, and then use your bonus action disengage and get out of there. Easy peasy. But outside of ball bearings, I don't even know if I would have a favorite piece of equipment in 5e. I feel like all of mine are like crafting equipment versus just normal equipment because I'm a huge fan of crafting, which we're going to talk about next week. Um,
Actually, useful equipment.
yeah, things that actually do things other than make people slip in a comical way.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I'm not quite sure if I would have a favorite outside of, just my spellcasting focus.
Probably, yeah. There are things I would choose over ball bearings for sure, but if you got a little extra dough, treat yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If treat yourself to some ball bearings. They're a ton of fun, and it's a great way to just liven up the group and liven up your combat experience. I'm trying to see right now how much they are.
Yeah, I got the
They're
paper
one
here.
gold piece for how many is it?
1,000?
I think it's 1,000, but it actually doesn't say it on here anymore
Oh, why do I
on the
think it's a
equipment.
thousand then?
I'm pretty sure it is though, because I feel like
Huh.
that's generally the thing, and you normally
Oh,
spread 100 per use.
in the 2014 physical copy, it says
hmm
ball bearings bag of 1,000. That's why I think that
Yeah.
because I read it.
2014 rulebook, you know how to list things. 2024 rulebook that I'm looking at does not have an amount for your ball bearings. So I don't know if maybe it's like nowadays they're trying to say, you buy a pouch and you're just good forever. I don't know. That sounds a little ridiculous, but I don't know. Are
Maybe
they are
some
they are they a
DM.
gold piece for 14 as well?
Yeah, one gold piece, 2 pound bag, 1,000 ball bearings. Yeah, maybe too many
Excellent.
DMs got burned on them, and they're like, you know what? You're not gonna get 1,000 this time. It's
You're
like
not gonna get
25 in
that.
there.
Yeah, I mean they are kind of combat breaking. I remember we did like this big old like gladiator arena once, and we were fighting like an actual sky giant, and we dumped like 5 full bags of ball bearings, so 5,000 ball bearings, and then we turned the whole ground into difficult terrain. So he literally could move 5 feet per turn, and then have to make all those saves every time he would move.
Nice.
Our DM was
Slick.
not having it.
Nah. They should have let you buy him.
For real. DMs out there, if your players do shit like this, let them do it. They're having fun. I know you think that your big, bad, evil guy needs to be big and bad, but really, he's there to be beaten. Like, end of the day, that's what he's there for, is to get his ass clapped. So, let him do it how
the
they
moment
want to.
the moment you try too hard to make this a serious thing is the moment that your players do just pull shenanigans and turn the whole thing into a Three Stooges skit.
Yeah. But if we're going to be getting these ball bearings, we need coins. We need money. So how does money work in D&D? So it's broken up into, 5 different coins, right? So we have copper, silver, electrum, gold, and platinum. Now, 4 of these are very commonly used. One of them is only used if you've pissed off your DM or if you would like to piss off your DM. So the most common one is going to be gold. This is what pretty much everything in Dungeons & Dragons economy is based around. However, I would like to really stress that the Dungeons & Dragons 5e economy is the dumbest thing you will ever see in your life. If you were with us last week when we talked about the services, the prices are ridiculous and they just don't make sense.
All over the place.
It makes absolutely no sense. I don't know. Like, I feel like the biggest issue here is when they talked about the fact that a commoner makes like 2 gold a year, right? So that's like to like put in perspective of things. But then you look at very common objects and they're selling it for like 25 gold and it's like, what the fuck? Am I like saving up for like 12 years of my life just to get a herbalist kit? What's going on here?
Yeah, just to put into perspective, ball bearings, our favorite, cost 1 gold piece. Yeah. So a commoner can buy 2 bags of ball bearings a year,
for
and
a
that doesn't
full
make
year.
Sense. And I forget which episode it was, but you were talking about the cost of hiring a wizard to cast a spell. Isn't it like 1,000 gold pieces for a spell?
It depends on the spell. So we had talked about how if you want to become the U.S. healthcare system as a healer, you could, or as a spellcaster, because cantrips cost 30 gold each. This is something you can do at will. A first level spell is 50 gold, and then it just goes up from there. It gets to absolute astronomical pricing, and it makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
And, like, I feel like the thing about the cantrips, I could understand people arguing that this is a skill that you have to attain, right? But then I think about the fact that there are races that literally just get cantrips for being born. So it's like, these people are born with the ability to just make a fuck ton of money.
And yeah, I guess they're also just greedy as soon as they start charging for it. Yeah.
Listen, that's where we need to start talking about high elf privilege right there, because they get to choose what kind of magic they're learning. I mean, I feel like you could really rack up a lot of money charging for the guidance cantrip.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So much money. So as we go through these, just be aware that the economy of D&D 5e makes no sense. It's not there to make sense, and it's just more fun if you don't really think about it. Because it's built around the heroes versus the actual world. So everything's priced more for the heroes than, the 98% of the rest of the inhabitants of the world. So that's why some of the prices are going to be a little weird. So gold, that's kind of our middle line. That's what everything is based around. Right under that, we have silver. Depending on your DM, these could also change. So rules as written, 10 silver is a gold. I have seen some DMs that will play that 100 silver is a gold. Have you run into that at all?
No, I haven't. No. It's always been 10 for 10 all the way down, except for, the black sheep in here.
Oh. I've played in a lot of 100 silver and 100 copper to a silver also, because people hate the ratio. But rules as written, 10 silver makes a gold, 10 copper makes a silver, which in turn means that 100 copper is a gold. When it comes to spending, copper is really just going to be used for food and small supplies. Very, very easy to come by stuff. Silver is going to be common equipment and common weapons. And then you're going to get into gold, where the majority of your weapons and good armor are going to be. If your DM starts throwing platinum at you, just know you've made it good. 10 gold is a
Yeah.
platinum. And again, I still don't even, like, they try to make platinum this, like, super exuberant thing, but I still think 10 gold really isn't that much money.
No, put into perspective like that, that's one platinum buys you 10 bags of ball bearings. That's
Yeah.
not really that crazy.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you were to make 100, then 100 gold for one platinum
Yeah.
feels like it would make more sense thematically.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of the DMs that I've run with, and I've done a couple games where that's how we've run it, is that's the reason, is, that way a silver actually means something in comparison to a copper, a gold actually means
Yeah.
something. But again, when it comes to platinum, you're really not going to be rolling into a lot of places and just sliding your platinum across the bar. This is generally what you're going to save up for to buy, like, buildings, boats, all those flying ships that we talked about that everyone wants. You're probably gonna buy it with platinum. So the things we're buying, we're gonna start with weapons today. So
Wait,
with weapons,
I think you missed the most important point.
oh darn! I almost forgot Electrum. You just had to bring us
And
back for that one.
and by the way, everybody should forget Electrum
You really should.
because it's garbage.
Electrum is the most questionable choice, and I'm actually a little surprised that it came back for 2024. I kind of thought they were just going to phase it out, but essentially 2 Electrum is a gold. So this is essentially 50 silver. No one
Why
plays
not?
with this. There is no one that will play with this unless you are absolutely trying to troll your DM, or they're trying to troll you. No one does it.
Or you just want to make math more difficult.
I can honestly say in my, like, 6 years of DMing D&D and, like, 12 years of playing, I don't think I've ever had an Electrum in my inventory. Ever.
I've only been playing a couple of years, but yeah, 0 Electrum, and I'm hoping to keep it that way.
I really hope Kara doesn't listen to this one, because she's going to start bombarding us with Electrum now.
The next dungeon we go through, it's like, and you find the chest that you've been searching for. We open it and we're like, oh, son of a bitch. It's all Electrum.
Now we have to go
bring out the
find
abacus.
somewhere with the exchange rates and, like, go get it all transferred. And, like, I almost imagine Electrum is like, if I, as a DM, were trying to make, like, a separate country from the one that I'm currently in, with, like, different money, this is what I would probably use, just so we can, mess around with, like, exchange rates and whatnot. But that's the only use.
And I feel like I've seen or heard about that somewhere, where Electrum is like this exotic currency from lands far away.
Maybe.
I can't remember where I saw that, but yeah, I feel like that's the way to do it anyway. And then you just take it to the embassy, switch it out for real money, and keep going.
Yeah, I don't know. They don't even really have, like... There might be something in 2014 Player Handbook, but 2024, there is nothing. They literally are just like, boom, here they are. This is the prizes. And that's it.
You know what it feels like? This will resonate with any cashier or just anybody in the service industry. It feels like when somebody gives you money and they pay with a $2 bill, and you're like, cool, thanks. We didn't make a slot for that because we're not taking money from 1952 anymore. So you have to, like, tuck it behind the cash box, and like, it's annoying.
Tuck it in with, like, all the $100 bills, and then when they're counting your register at the end of the night, they're like, "Hey, man, you're like, $20 or like $100 over," and it's like, "What? How did that happen?" And then they go through it, and it's like, "Oh no, it's just this fucking $2 bill that nobody asked for." Or
Grandpa Steve paying with a.
Or they show up with
money
like
from his
13 half-dollar coins.
Oh, get out of town! No. I can't do it. Just go get real money. Take your $2 bills and your Electrum to the bank. Get real money and spend that.
Yeah, please go to your local fantasy bank and trade that Electrum in, because no one wants to sit there and deal with it. It's stupid and it's not fun. This was a significantly bigger tangent than I thought we were going to have for Electrum, but here we are.
There we go, man.
Also with gold pieces, as you're playing through Dungeons & Dragons, you might also hear them referred to as gold dragons. This is generally going to be something that only really happens around Waterdeep if you're playing in actual published material. So if you do hear, gold dragon, it might not always mean flying dragon in the sky. It could just be referring to gold coins.
Fun.
Yeah, that's a fun little tidbit. So anyone who's trying to join like a dragon heist campaign, just know that you're not actually heisting dragons. You're just getting gold coins. As someone who's run that one, that was a big misconception. Quite often, they're like, "Where's the
Oh,
dragons?"
people
And I'm
actually.
like, "There's no. The money is the dragons. It's a gold dragon."
Um, that's
Um,
awesome.
So now that we've talked about our redheaded stepchild Electrum, we're going to move on to weapons. So they come in two different varieties, martial and simple. The biggest difference is that martial, you're generally going to have to be like trained to use these. This is something that's generally only given to barbarians, fighters, paladins, and rangers for the most part. There's going to be a couple of subclasses here and there that are going to give you access to them if you're not one of those. But other than that, you're probably going to be stuck with the simple weapons, which is given to everyone. Um, were you aware that the short sword is a martial weapon?
Not until I read your notes here. I had no idea. That feels backwards.
Doesn't it? The main reason that I believe they did that, I honestly, I don't know why they made that choice, but I know like clerics and warlocks specifically are the only two classes who don't have it, I believe, from when I was looking this up. So
Mm.
I almost wish they would have just made it a simple weapon and just put that in the class, like excluding this specific thing. Because it should
Yeah,
totally be a simple weapon. It's a short
absolutely.
sword.
It's a full sword for a halfling. It feels like
Yeah.
if we're doing making it proportional, then it would just depend on the size of your body, not the sword.
Yeah, so when it comes to simple weapons, this is going to be your, again, absolute basic of the basic. This is like a club, a dagger, a great club, a light hammer. You can take a great club, but you can't pick up a short sword.
It's just too weird. They're normally longer.
I don't understand the choice behind that. Wizards, if you could at me, let me know what was the decision making property when it comes to that, because I have no idea. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's wild.
Um, but moving on from my absolute disbelief in that, each of these items are also going to have different properties associated with them. So if you're in the player handbook or just looking at an item, there's going to be like a little line of information that they're going to give you. They're going to give you the name of the item, the damage it does, and then we'll have properties. For anyone in 2024, we're going to get to mastery later in the episode, but for right now, we're going to talk about these properties and what each of them mean. So the first one is ammunition. We're going to be going alphabetically. This is quite self-explanatory. This is arrows, crossbow bolts, and if you're playing with bullets or musket balls. Um, Typically, this is going to be bows, crossbows, blow darts, things of that
A-
nature.
Anything you have to reload. Yeah.
I will say I have seen a lot of DMs who don't even play with ammunition, which I don't blame them. Keeping up with ammunition can be kind of a pain in the ass sometimes. Uh, I
Yeah.
know in my games I don't bother with it. I don't have durability for great swords, so they can hit as many times with that. Why would I have, a certain amount that a bow can do? That's your shtick, you do it.
Yeah, as much as I would love to see it, I can see why people would disclude it because it seems like it would slow down a game,
And I
to
mean,
check your inventory.
I would almost imagine it would be so simple to make like basic arrows. Just like during downtime, like during a long rest, just going and cutting down a tree and like whittling a couple arrows anyway.
Yeah,
Because there's
yeah,
not like a degree of excellence when it comes to arrows. It's just arrow. We have
that's true. That's
magical
true.
arrows, but we don't have like iron arrow, steel arrow, like, and it's slowly getting stronger. It's just arrow.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if you make it bad or make it good, it still pokes.
Yeah. So with that, if your DM is having you play where you have to keep up with your ammo count, you are able to recover half of the ammo that you use in that combat encounter after the combat. So say you are out there, you fire 12 arrows, you're gonna get 6 back. Um, Again, I think it's stupid. I wouldn't make people do it, but if you're a
No.
super hardcore survival campaign, go for it. Have fun with it. I mean, I'm sure some people like
Yeah.
that. Um,
At that point, you're just playing a resource management game, which does,
yeah.
to be fair, sound fun. But yeah, that's again, it would just slow down the narrative and everybody's day
Yeah.
by making you do that.
Um, and if you are playing the resource counting game, do not make it the whole party's job to keep up with your arrows. Like, you know what you can round up at the end. Just round it up and move on. Don't make it a big scene every time you have to round arrows up, because it's going to get tiring and it's going to take up too much time.
Yeah.
The next thing we have is finesse. Finesse is one of my absolute favorite properties because it means that you can use either your strength or your dexterity modifier for attacking and damage rolls with those weapons. These are going to be weapons such as daggers, darts, scimitars, short swords, whips, and rapiers. These are often weapons that are seen more as like quick versus brute force. I almost exclusively use finesse weapons when I'm using melee weapons. I don't think I've ever used a strength-based character in my life.
No, I haven't either. Yeah, I've pretty much been doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's like if I need to make something happen, I'll just pick up a rapier. I don't, if I want to do a sword and board, I'll still probably just pick up a finesse one because then I'm getting the bonus AC from Dex and the weapon damage from Dex. You get both.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you take it?
Just to stay true to your theme, I guess. If you're like, I'm just the biggest, baddest dude, and I use the biggest, baddest swords, and then you can't pick up a short sword because it's for babies.
Yeah, I mean, you still have the scimitar though. The scimitar is like a normal ass blade.
Yeah, too curvy though. You need big and unwieldy, and it hurts to get hit with it no matter what end you get hit with.
Possibly.
Scimitar takes too much thinking. I just want to bop somebody with a big old sword.
Accurate. Yeah, no, finesse is all the way for me. You're going to learn here at the IntModPod that I will shit on strength-based builds pretty much every chance I get, mainly because I just don't use them. I don't think we even have... I think Bula's the only person with any strength in our campaign. We have a whole ass paladin that's fully dex.
I think Killian just picked up a scimitar. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's not even going straight.
Yeah. I would come to their defense, but I've literally never used a strength-based character, so I would be a huge hypocrite if I did.
Yes.
So, but it's just for some people and not for other people.
For me, the reason I don't think strength is as strong as a dex-based character is because it just spreads your stats out too much. Because if you want to be a tank, right, you want to be a big tanky boy, you need dex to dodge out of the way of, your dex saving throws. Those are the most common. You're going to get them all the time. You're going to need dex for your armor class. Unless, of course, you're planning on just going straight heavy armor, in which case your dex doesn't really matter. We'll talk about that in a bit. But, I mean, to me personally, the benefits don't outweigh the fact that you get the bonus AC from dex.
Yeah.
So, finesse weapons all the way for me. The next property, however, is going to be heavy. Now, this is for our strength-based characters because you have disadvantage on attacks if your correlating modifier is not at least a 13. So for strength, or for melee weapons, it has to be your strength. For ranged weapons, it has to be your dexterity. You have to have at least a 13. So again, that's not that bad. But if you're not building a strength-based character, odds are you're dumping your strength. So
yeah.
These are going to be glaives, great axes, great swords, halberts, lances, while not mounted, mauls, pikes, heavy crossbows, and pretty much all of those are martials. Yeah, so pretty much none of the simple weapons are going to be heavy, but you do have quite a few martials. I will say I love the glaive. That is probably the only one on this list that I'm like, that's why I would take a little bit of strength is for the glaive, personally.
For some reason, I've always been obsessed with heavy crossbows. It just seems like such a power play to just have this massive, massive crossbow. Mm-hmm. But you made a distinction, lance while not mounted. What is it when you are mounted?
When you are mounted, the lance actually becomes it has the light property, and you can use it with one hand.
Oh, cool.
How
cool.
your lance transforms while mounting, I don't know, but it does become a one-handed weapon once you are mounted. I have a friend right now in one of my games who is playing this, he's playing a cavalier fighter, and he's taken the dual wielder feat, specifically so while mounted he can have two lances. And it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Because
It
they do
seems
like
highly impractical and
they
really
do a
cool.
D12. And
Yeah?
while
Dang.
mounted, he has advantage on anything smaller than his mount.
With his huge lance hands.
Yeah, and his lances can reach 10 feet. And so, being a fighter, he also has Brace, where if something comes within 10 feet, he can hit them. And with Sentinel, they're stuck there. So now he can just sit there and poke at them. Because he has multi-attack
terrifying.
plus action surge with a D12 weapon.
Okay, that just sounds like a really, really scary character. I would not want to be facing that dude.
And so imagine that coming at you with 120-foot movement speed. Because he's on a mount, and the mount can dash, and it doesn't take his action because it's the mount's action.
I mean, he's just standing still with two lances pointed straight at you.
So ridiculous and terrifying.
God.
I remember our DM was trying so hard to get him to be a battle master, and I was just like, no, do Cavalier, it'll be funny. So we're like clopping through like caves, and he's like ducking down on his horse with double lances.
That's so funny.
And I'm playing a Drake Warden, so I'm like, it's going to be great when I've got this, giant, large dragon that you're just flying around on, Super Gaia the Fearsome Knight from Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
That's the goal. That's the aesthetic we're going for. But then on the flip side of that, we have Light. So Light, whenever you make the attack action on your turn and attack with a light weapon, you can make one extra as a bonus action on the same turn. So essentially what this means is whenever we're dual wielding, we have the first attack and then we can do the second one as a bonus action if it's on the offhand. This one, you don't have to have two weapons. You can just use one hit and then do the bonus with the light.
Oh, okay.
That's cool. I feel like that's new for 2024. I don't think you could do that with the earlier ones.
So it's okay.
I think it is. It might be. I don't know. That's not something I've heard of. But hey, good for light weapons, because you know what else light weapons normally are? Finesse.
Yeah.
Again, the reasons I like finesse. So that's going to be daggers, hand axes, light hammers, and sickles. And then for our bows, or for our long range, it's going to... Oh, nope. It's going to be short swords, scimitars, and hand crossbows for martials. So dagger, hand axe, light axe, sickle for simple. Sorry, I totally butchered that. And short sword, scimitar, hand crossbow for martials. I adore that, because now short swords, they're just getting to do whatever they want.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Maybe
that's
if
you
why
ever
they're
want to play
not
a character
martial.
who's...
I was going to say, maybe that's why they're not simple, because they're getting all these cool shit.
Maybe short swords is where it's at, and I didn't even know.
I know.
But yeah, if you ever want to play a character, if you foresee yourself doing a flip while you're wielding a weapon, then this is where it comes into play. You're just moving, then you're hitting hard, hitting fast, and getting to the next one.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're so exciting. They're like so energetic and like just mobile, and I don't know. That's, to me, like these fighters are exciting. Like yes, it is scary to have somebody with a great club slowly swinging it toward your head, but I'd be much more afraid of the guy with two scimitars or whatever just swinging, flipping at me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and you specifically used the word mobile. Whenever I think about this, I think about the mobile feat, where you can literally just run in, do a fuck ton of attacks, and then get out without having to use a disengage, because it's just built in.
Yeah. That's terrifying.
Mobile rogues, let's go! This is what we want!
You can't touch me.
You can't touch it. And what's really great is, what I love, okay, get ready for this, is playing like a halfling or a gnome rogue with that, because then you can have your big buddies in front of you, go between their legs, do all your attacks, and then go... So no one can get to you, because they've got this brick wall of person in front of you. Excellent.
Again, terrifying. Yeah.
That is the most terrifying thing ever. Just...
You're focused on this orc, and you're just blocking their attacks, and all of a sudden this little rat comes out and stabs you in the shin 1,000 times with a hammer or a dagger. Yeah, that's great.
Or a short sword.
Oh yeah, all short swords all day from now on.
I feel like that's going to be the theme of this episode, is that short sword is the best, even though it's not.
Yeah, I'm a dual wielder, and I have a short sword and a bag of ball bearings, and nobody can touch me. You're done.
Oh my god, yes. Our next one is going to be loading. So with this, you can only fire once per round, no matter how many attacks you have. So if you're using a crossbow and it has the loading feature, you can only attack once. Now, the reason for this is that early game, crossbows are going to be doing a lot more damage than bows are. But late game, they're going to catch up because you get multiple attacks. There are ways around this with certain features. I don't know if Gunner was introduced in 2024. I didn't look into that yet because we haven't gone over feats. But I know that one allows you to ignore loading. But yeah, don't expect to fire multiple times with crossbows. Sorry about it.
Yeah.
I will say, though, I'm a fan of crossbows. I really like kind of the picture of, like... I feel like, for me personally, a bow is more skillful than a crossbow. So anytime I think about, like, a character who's not, you know, this badass hunter, like, I think crossbow. You know, because just aim and shoot.
Yeah, I always imagine, you know, having like two weapons strapped to your back, crossing. One's a crossbow and one's your blade. Short range, long range. With the longbow, it does bring to mind like it has more elegance to it rather than just like, well, time to get shooting.
Mm-hmm. And again, that's why longbow is a martial weapon, not a simple weapon. You know, but we still have short bow that's a simple weapon, but I still feel like it takes a bit more skill. But I've also been shooting a bow and arrow since I was like 5, so that's probably shaped a little bit of my viewpoint on that.
Yeah, got a bow bias.
I do. But along those lines, we also have range is a property. It's pretty self-explanatory. It means it can fire at range. Anytime you see this, it's going to have 2 numbers listed for you. The first one is its normal range. The second one is its long range. So anything you fire up until that short range, you're fine. Anything after that is with disadvantage until you hit that point where it has that second number. That's the cutoff. You cannot fire more than that. I feel really unprepared because I don't have it sitting in front of me with an example. But here's longbow. Let's see. If you're looking at the longbow, the range on it is 150, so you can fire up to 150 feet without even getting disadvantage imposed. But you can fire up to 600 feet. I don't know why you're firing 600 feet, but girl, if that dragon's getting away, don't let him. But if he's hit 601, you cannot hit him.
Too far. Doesn't matter.
And anything 151 feet to 600 is with disadvantage. Because you're pushing that weapon to its limit. Go ahead.
Which feels very fair. 600 feet, it's like, oh, thanks. I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I can see 600 feet away and there's not a dungeon that I have to go through on my line of sight. But for some reason, these numbers were really... I always forgot what these numbers were when I first started off. It was like these and the rules for prone always got me. I always forgot, and I was always panicked when I had to keep them in mind. So, but yeah, once you get it down, it's pretty simple. It's around the page.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I would almost recommend if you are a newer player. Underneath where your range is, I would just write down what it means. That way, at quick glance, it's there. You have the answer. You don't have to look for it. You don't have to be like, oh, that means I can shoot past 600 with disadvantage. No. This is what it is. This is how it works. Never be afraid of writing things.
Yeah, write everything. If there's a rule you're shaky on, write it down on the back of your character sheet, or on the internet. I guess it's not 1989 anymore. but yeah, I think that's very good advice, because for me personally, when it comes, I've been a new player for many years now, and I think I'm going to be a new player for the rest of my life. But just so I have something to blame it on. But when it gets to your turn in an initiative, and you're like, oh crap, what does this mean? You don't want to like flip through the book or like try to read how your stuff works. Preferably you would do this before the session even starts, so you know your character very well. But if there's, like Bobby said, if there's stuff you're shaky on, write it down. It's easy.
Yeah. Again, no one is going to look at your character sheet with writing and be like, nerd. They're going to be like, oh, that kid's getting prepared. Like, we all write shit down. Our character sheets are loaded. I was about to make a loading joke because we just talked about the loading property, and I said our pages are loaded, but then I didn't.
Be my guest, yeah.
Oh, no, it was awful. Anyhow, what's not awful is the reach property, which is one of my favorites. This is going to add 5 feet when you attack with it, as well as for opportunity attacks. So anytime you're making an attack, you get an extra 5 feet. If someone's coming 10 feet within you, opportunity attack that. Like, you have extra space that other people don't. This is going to be glaives, halberds, lances, pikes, and whips. I love reach. I love it.
I've never had a reach weapon, but it does seem handy. If you don't like getting poked with pointy swords, get a reach weapon.
Yeah, hide
It's
behind
awesome.
your tanks and just kind of.
Yeah, get
Um,
'em.
One thing I do want to point out with reach weapons that I have seen and I've tried to do but realized very quickly it doesn't work is if you are wanting to play like a kind of like a spellblade, like a very gishy kind of character, spells like Green Flame Blade and Booming Blade will not work with your reach property because they specifically state within 5 feet of you, not when you
Oh,
make a
tricky.
melee attack. Yeah, I have desperately tried to do Green Flame Whip. It did not. It's not a thing.
Peter's out halfway through.
I mean, look, I once played a wisdom based ranger, right? So like the whole idea of it was that she was like a sorceress whose family line was super big on sorcery. It feels a lot like Seraphina as I talk about it.
It sounds like you're describing her.
Yeah, and so all of her magic was significantly weaker, but she was like a summoner, right? That's where her stuff manifested. So I did Drake Warden, and I was like, oh, I'll just hang behind everyone, let my Drake kind of be my shield, and I'll just Green Flame Blade everyone from the back. And it's like, no, doesn't work that
That's
way.
bad. What does Gishy mean?
Gish is a term that originated back, I think, in second edition. So are you familiar with the Githyanki?
Yes.
So the Githyanki have a like a sect of trained military. I don't know, and they're like half fighter, half mage, right? So they're spell blades, and they're called Gish. And
Cool.
it kind of just became like if you look at Bladesinger, that is a Gish class. If you look at Hexblade Warlock, Gish class. I think Eldritch Knight also would be considered one, but that's kind of what when you hear people say Gish, that's what they mean. Is it is a spellblade.
Good to know. I didn't know that.
And there's a whole that we could probably go into a whole thing. We might even at some point go into like, is this a Gish? How can we build a Gish with this? I think that would
Does
be fun.
it Gish?
I love building bullshit characters, so we might have to do like bullshit build at some point.
Yeah, I would definitely pay attention to that one.
Yeah. The next one we have is Throne. So literally, it just means you can throw it.
Yep. It's
That's
simple.
quite literally it. If
Well-
it's a melee weapon, you're going to use the same mod as your melee attack. So lucky for you, if you're throwing it, you can use your strength. But for the most part, like daggers, like throwing daggers, this is going to be dex based.
Yeah. I guess it means thrown, but you could throw anything, but if it says thrown on it, you won't look stupid doing it.
Yeah, well, if it doesn't say thrown on it, you just don't get to add your modifier to it, and it doesn't
is
count
that
as
it?
proficient. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it'll
Interesting.
just be like a flat roll instead of having modifiers and proficiencies. Unless you have there's a feature somewhere out there, I can't remember what it is, but when we get to features, I'll probably make a callback to this. But yeah, if it's thrown, you can throw it with proficiency.
There you go.
Um,
Easy squeezy.
Easy squeezy. Next up is two-handed. So this requires both hands to attack with it. This is yet again going to be Glaive, Great Axe, Great Sword, Halbert. I am looking at my list, and autocorrect has changed every one of my Halberts to Albert, and I've had to catch it in my brain as I was saying it. So Glaive...
I honestly wanted to say something so bad, but I was like, what if he actually thinks it's Albert? I'm embarrassing this.
No, embarrass
so
the
funny.
shit out of me on my own podcast. I would adore that. No, so that's Glaive, Great Axe, Great Sword, Halbert, Lance, while not mounted, Maul, Pike, Bows, and Crossbows. So essentially what that means is you cannot fire a bow while having a dagger in your offhand, even though it is possible. I've done it.
Yeah.
I've done it in real life.
Check my YouTube video.
I think I actually am on
just-
video doing it.
Oh, really? Nice. I'm gonna look that up later. Is a light crossbow two-handed?
Yes.
No way. Okay.
Yes, it is.
I did not know that.
Because you still are with both hands.
I just imagined like a cool.
No, that's a
cool
hand
way,
crossbow is in one hand.
Oh,
So that's an
gotcha.
actual thing of its own, which I never see. But I mean, if you want to be a pistol wielding badass, that's how you do it. Just get up.
There you go.
Our last property is versatile. So this is the complete opposite of myself. So it can be used one-handed or two-handed. Quarterstaff, spears, battle axe, longswords, tridents, and war picks. These are going to have two different damages on them. The first one that's smaller is going to be if you're using it one-handed. The bigger one is going to be if you're using it with two hands. I feel like that one's pretty
I actually did not know that.
Really?
Before reading up for this episode. Yeah, I did not realize that it got more powerful with two hands. But it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a really cool mechanic. I'm a fan. So that's all of our properties. But as I said earlier, 2024 has added mastery properties, which further enhance the way that you can use these weapons if you have the mastery. So now, not only do you need to have proficiency with these weapons, you have to have mastery with them too. So you have extra tiers that you can go into. And with that tier list, I do want to point out that all of these weapons you can use even if you're not proficient. You're just going to do it without your proficiency bonus. I think there might be a rule somewhere in there that you do it with disadvantage, but I'm not 100% sure because I don't really ever use weapons that I'm not proficient in.
Yeah, I've never come across it.
So starting with these mastery properties, the first one we have is Cleave. So if you hit a creature with a melee attack using this weapon, you can make a melee attack roll with the weapon against a second creature within 5 feet of the first. The second one, you do the damage as normal, but without your modifiers. Unless, of course, the modifier is negative, in which case they're still slapping that modifier on there. You can make this attack only once per turn. So essentially, if you have the Great Axe or a Halberd, big weapons, and you can do this sweep, you can hit 2 people. The second person that gets hit, it's going to be a little bit weaker. But, I mean, you still get to hit 2 people. That's pretty great.
It still looks really cool.
It really does. Look, this one doesn't say Albert.
There it is.
There we go.
Yes, autocorrect was like, fine. If you want to spell Albert like Halberd, go for it.
Again, though, I do want to point out that it says you can only make this extra attack once per turn. So once you get multi-attack, you can still only do this once with those multi-attacks. But I think that's fine. I mean,
there goes my Tasmanian devil with an axe build.
I know. They just ruin everything. The next one is going to be Graze. If you attack, if you make an attack roll with this weapon misses on a creature, you can deal damage to that creature equal to your ability modifier used to make the roll. The damage type is still the same type that you used with the weapon, and it only goes up by increasing your ability modifier. This is glaives and greatswords. I'm not a huge fan of this one, I'm going to be honest. I mean, I think it's great. Like, mechanically, I love it. But I feel like the actual idea of it is like, oh no, I missed, but I still got you. It's weird to me.
Yeah, what's the point of a to hit if you're still going to slightly to hit? You know, it's... I agree with that. It feels like rewarding bad rolls.
Yeah, and this one, I want to point out, does not state that you cannot use it more than once. So you could miss both of your greatsword attacks, and if you've got a +4, you did 8 damage.
You could still, you can still kill enemies by not hitting them.
By doing nothing.
By being bad at what you're doing.
The worst. I don't like that one. I feel like...
Nah.
I don't like that one.
It's too friendly.
I feel like with Graze, it would be better if you miss, you got to, like, add a roll of some kind, and then if it hit, it only did the modifier. Or maybe, like, if you miss, you get advantage, and if you hit, it only does the mod. I would be okay with that.
Or even if you were just, like, 1 below their AC or something like that. Mm-hmm. I would feel okay with that. But, yeah.
I don't like
Not every time.
The next one is Nick. So when you make an extra attack with the light property, you can make it as part of the attack action instead of the bonus action. You can make this attack only once per turn. This is daggers, light hammer, sickle, and scimitar. So now, instead of using up your bonus action to do 2 attacks, you just use it once. Excellent. I like this.
Efficiency.
This feels right. Because you know what? If you are a rogue who has quick hands, you know what you could do with that bonus action? throw down some ball bearings.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So you still get both of your attacks, throw down some ball bearings, and with your mobile feet, now you're running.
They'll never see it. They'll never see you again.
They won't, because they're going to be on their ass looking up at the ceiling where they tripped. And then the rest of your group is going to dogpile them. Come back for more pro tips on how to play a rogue.
I gotta buy me some ball.
Do you ever play rogues?
I am, as you know, I'm a new player. For many years, I've been a new player. I've never played the same class more than once because I want to play them all, and I don't play D&D enough to get them done quickly. So I played them once, and I did have ball bearings, and I did use them.
Oh, excellent. I have yet to play as a rogue officially.
Oh, really?
No, that's not true. I've done a one-shot as a rogue, but because it was a one-shot, we broke a lot of rules. So it wasn't like really getting the effect. You know, I played this Southern Belle who was secretly like shit-talking everyone by having them come over and sip tea the way a Southern Belle does.
As a rogue? That's awesome.
Yeah, so I was an inquisitive rogue who was literally just gathering all the gossip from the town.
Just bless your hearting everybody to death.
Yeah, and so I took Magic Initiate so I could get Vicious Mockery, because that's how, you know, a Southern lady does it. And because it was a one-shot and we broke rules, I was like, can I use my sneak attack with my Vicious Mockery? Because when a Southern lady insults you, you never know what's happening.
It is sneaky.
And we did. So
that's awesome.
I had
it's like
no
one of
need.
those sentences that seem normal, but then you find yourself on the drive home thinking about it. You're like, wow, you know what? No. I'm offended.
Yeah, so people, I say this literally every episode. If there's something funny you want to do, talk to your DM. Make it happen, because this is a game for fun. Especially if you're doing a one-shot. Have fun with it. Do stupid shit. That's where to do stupid stuff. Right there.
Agreed.
Yeah. The next one we have is going to be push. If you hit a creature with this weapon, you can push the creature up to 10 feet straight away from yourself, as long as it's large or smaller. This is going to be heavy crossbow, warhammer, and pike. I like this, personally.
That is cool, but it's worded in a way that I feel like if you hit a creature with this weapon, you can push a creature if it's large or smaller. So if I was a halfling and I could push an orc, I guess.
Correct.
I guess so. If I'm hitting anybody with a warhammer, it's gonna suck, and I would probably stagger. So that makes sense.
I do want to point something out, though, that if you are a creature of small, like not medium, but if you're small or lower, using heavy weapons, you have disadvantage.
Oh, that's true.
And all of these weapons are heavy.
So it would just kind of naturally not have that problem unless you really wanted to do it for some reason.
Yeah, if you really wanted to do it, I mean, you still could. You're just going to be making your attacks with disadvantage, but you could. I mean, I think I would love the idea of playing like a gnome. Okay, bear with me. A gnome artificer, right? Okay. Right, here we go.
Okay.
With a heavy crossbow, and like whenever I start a fight, like having like a tripod that flips out to like hold it.
Oh yeah.
Like I would totally give up my mobility to just like mount this heavy crossbow and just start launching it like it's like a ballista.
I would love to see that. And honestly, I've made bad choices, intentional bad choices because it's either funny or I just wanted to fit with my character's theme more. So just because something makes it more difficult for you doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. I don't know if that's good advice or not, but sometimes it just fits in the story that you want to tell more to do something weird, especially if you're going to do Bobby's idea, which is amazing.
Yeah, again, talk to your DMs. They might even, like an idea like that, if you are willing to give up your mobility for a turn to fire, they might even get rid of that disadvantage for you. Talk to them. Come up with cool stuff. The fun thing about D&D is that in the DMG, it literally says to the DM, you make the rules. So if you ask them, they make the rules. They can be whatever they want them to be. But don't get butthurt when they say no, because that's shitty and that's not cool.
Yeah, everybody has to be cool with it.
Yeah. Our next one is Sap. You hit a creature with this weapon. The creature has disadvantage on its next attack roll before the start of your next turn. This is maces, spears, flails, longswords, morning stars, war picks. This is my favorite of them, I'm going to be honest. Because I feel like if you take this, instead, like if you're, like I'm thinking of this for like a tank, right? So if I'm a tank and I take this, now I don't have to take the protection fighting style. I can just take the defensive one and boost my AC up.
Oh, that's fun.
Because it's
Yeah, that's pretty
essentially,
slick.
yeah, essentially it's just the protection fighting style. The only issue is you need to be attacking before they're attacking your friends, but still, I like it.
Yeah, yeah, that's I think that's a really cool one. And also it just sounds gnarly. All these weapons, it's like longsword, yeah, of course, but like the Morning Star always freaks me out. Like
Yeah.
just getting hit with anything, just that thumps. I don't want to get hit with anything that thumps. Just stab me, dude.
See, I feel like the
Sounds awful.
flail is the one that really gets under my skin. Like, if I want to have a terrifying villain, you better believe that bitch has a flail. Because that's
Oh,
so scary to
100%. Are you
me.
kidding me? Like, what are you doing, man? Just get a sword. This sucks.
Yeah.
This is how I know that for me, this is a fantasy game. Because if I come across somebody with a hammer, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm walking away. I'm going to be a farmer. 2 gold a year sounds good to me.
Right, give me external bleeding that I know is happening versus hitting me with a hammer and now I have internal bleeding that I don't know about.
Yeah, so much so that I have disadvantage on my next turn because I'm dizzy from you hit me in the head with the flail. No, absolutely
Well,
not.
I mean, it also is longswords, which I'm surprised by that longsword
I
was
think
on
that's
there. But I think this, when it was designed, I think this was made for tanks, and I feel like a lot of sword and boards are going longsword.
yeah, and you could argue that it's just hitting somebody with the broadside of the sword
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
Yeah, again, this is my favorite, though.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it. The next one is slow. If you hit a creature with this weapon and deal damage to it, you can reduce its speed by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. If the creature is hit more than once, the weapon by this weapon's property, the speed reduction is only 10 feet. So this doesn't stack, but this is going to be longbows, whips, slings, light crossbows, javelins, clubs, and muskets if you are playing with guns. This is another one that I really like, and I really think this would be a fun one to combo with someone who has push.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. And you could just like keep them at arm like further
You
than
know,
arm's length
that
and
steals
just
20 feet
keep
from
whacking away at
them.
them.
20 feet
I don't
evaporated.
understand. Yeah, yeah, I think that'd be cool. I don't understand the weapon choices.
I
Like
do.
whip, I get it. You whip them up, but I don't understand why there's not more on there.
So, to
why not a
me,
sword?
this feels like it's just the long ranged choice. Like, this is what you're using when you're trying to hit
Oh, every
someone
single
and
one.
run away. You know, this
Okay,
except for
that
club. I
that makes
don't
sense.
understand club's inclusion here, but
That's
hey, girl, do what
that,
you gotta do. I feel like club should be
what?
with sap.
Yeah, club. Yeah, and club isn't with sap is what drives me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Club in both or club and sap, but club and just slow doesn't make any sense to me. I would be slow if somebody hit me with one for sure, but that's also true of flail, which is not on here.
Yeah. Yeah, slow
Hmm.
is a weird one to me. I like it, but I think, yeah, like, club, it's a weird choice.
It's cool to have. I just think that more weapons should be in that list.
And our last one is the only one that has its own saving throw to it, which is topple. If you hit a creature with this weapon, you can force the creature to make a Constitution saving throw. That save is going to be DC 8 plus the ability modifier used to make the attack roll, and your proficiency bonus. On a failed save, the creature is prone. This is going to be quarterstaffs, battle axe, lance, a maul, and a trident.
I love that one.
This
It's
is
just getting knocked
so
on your ass.
strong. So
Yeah.
strong. Um, Again, if you're looking, like, I always attribute things to like supporting your team, but I feel like everyone should be supporting everyone. You know, I don't think it's like one person's job to support the whole team, but this is
For
how
sure.
you make your whole team just a unit. Like, if you have a
Yes.
team of Oonga Boonga frontliners, get some topple because then all of you have advantage on your attacks.
Yeah, for sure. Makes a team more well-rounded, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, And our last one is Vex. If you hit a creature with this weapon and deal damage to the creature, you have advantage on your next attack roll on that creature before the end of your next turn. This is hand axe, dart, shortbow, rapier, blowguns, hand crossbows, and pistol. So this is going to be for like those quick hits. I think it's
This,
okay.
I think this is the funniest one because to vex is to annoy somebody and piss
Yes.
them off, right? If somebody shot me with the freaking blowgun, I'm gonna be vexed. So, I guess so. I imagine I want to see this like be role played. Every time my weapon with Vex hits somebody, they're just like, God damn.
Yeah, I
just
would
use a
like.
sword.
I'd like to point out that with the exception of rapier and pistol, all of these are the weakest and lowest damage of their weapon type. So I think it makes sense that it's not just like, yeah, it's just fucking annoying when a dagger is just. Oh, no, dagger isn't in here, is it? No, it's not. Just kidding. Dagger didn't make the list. But every other one, like, you know, we have short bow, we have hand axe, hand crossbow. All of these do significantly less damage than their bigger counterparts. And they would be fucking annoying.
For sure, for sure. It kind of feels like this one time when I was a little kid, I took a scooter to a skate park, and all the skaters made fun of me. They're like, "Get a skateboard." That's what I would do if somebody hit me with a weapon with Vex. It's like, dude, just get a real weapon, because this is really pissing me off.
I agree with you. I agree with that. So something fun that I think you and your DM can work on is if you're looking for like to mix and match these, I think that would be totally workable. You know, I think all of these properties, if you have a magic weapon, I think if you're a DM looking to make a magic weapon kind of interesting, switch its mastery property. I think that would really kind of make things cool. Can you imagine, bear with me, can you imagine someone shooting you with a bow that has sap on it, so you have disadvantage on all your attacks and you can't even get to the source of it?
Yeah, that
so
would be
annoying.
So annoying and very effective if you're on the right side of the bow.
Mm-hmm.
I would love it. Or even just something you want to expect to push and give it push.
Yeah,
you know?
a dagger. Just
a dagger.
Like kinetic force pushing them back. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I think it would be cool to kind of mix and match. In the rules, it doesn't say you can mix and match, but again, as a DM, you can do whatever you want, and I think that would be a really good way to kind of make things a little bit different and add kind of a little bit more flavor. Maybe even if it's a magic weapon, give it 2 of them so they have a choice.
I think that'd be really cool. Yeah, the D&D cops are not going to show up at your door if you decide to ignore some of these rules.
Our next section is going to be armor. Now we're going to move a little bit quicker through this section just because of time.
Yeah.
So I have gone through, and what I've done is I've given the amount of money that you're going to have to be spending on these items, as well as the maximum AC you can get while wearing these items. Now, this max AC, when we go through here, does not include spells like Shield of Faith. This is just absolute raw, you having max dexterity with this armor on. So just bear with that. So the first one category is light armor. Now this takes 1 minute to don or doff. I love that they wrote it that way. It takes a minute to put it on or take it off.
It sounds more fantasy if you say don or
off. I know. So the first one we have is padded armor. This is going to be 11 plus your dexterity modifier. You do have disadvantage to stealth checks while wearing it, and it's going to run you 5 gold. Your maximum AC is going to be 16. So that's if you have maxed out dexterity. So a lot of these maximum ACs are going to be like a later down the road character. This isn't going to be your level 1 character. Overall, I wouldn't recommend it. Just being honest.
It's the cheapest for a reason.
Yes.
The way I always remembered that padded armor was the cheapest is because of the disadvantage to stealth checks. I imagine it to just be like a horrible material that kind of like when you walk, like the legs rub together. Yeah, so 100%. Just get the leather armor.
And speaking of leather armor, it's going to do the same dex, 11 plus dex. It's going to run you 5 extra gold, so it'll be a total of 10 gold with a max AC of 16. So essentially it's the same thing without the disadvantage. Spend the extra 5 gold, it will be worth it. I promise.
Yeah.
5 gold is not worth disadvantage on stealth. At all.
Yeah. And that's only 2.5 electrum, so you can afford it.
2.5 electrum, Jesus.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, the next one is going to be studded leather. This is going to get you 1 extra AC, so it'll be 12 plus your dex. It's going to run you 45 gold with a max AC of 17. I'm going to be real with you. I would probably just stick with leather.
For 45 gold, yeah, who do they think they are? That better have some cool, like, cowboy saddle designs in it, because it's way too much.
Yeah, that's too much money, unless you're just rolling in cash, in which case, girl, get the best. We support you in being a bougie bitch.
Oh, for sure.
But if you are a struggling adventurer, just stick with the leather and know that 1 AC could be the death of you, but it probably won't.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
You're fine. The next category we have is medium. That takes 5 minutes to don or doff. The lowest is going to be hide armor. It's 12 plus your dex modifier, but with all medium armor, we're going to have a maximum of 2 dexterity that gets to go into your armor class. So because of that, your max AC is only going to be a 14 with this armor. Awful. If that's the case, just go get leather if you're rocking dex. It's the same as the best light, but cheaper. I don't know why I wrote that, because it is definitely not. I guess just the dex, but so if you're not a dex-based character, this would probably be worth it to you, but I still wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, I would probably stick to studded leather. I can't imagine a situation where you would want this, unless it's thematic because it's hide.
Yeah. The next one we have is chain shirt. This is going to be 13 plus your dex with a max of 2, which means the max AC will be 15. This is going to run you a staggering 50 gold. This is expensive, but I think most classes that wear medium armor can get it as a starting equipment. So just sneak it in there. If you have no plans of wearing armor and you can get this, just get it because someone else in your group might want it. It's a lot better than the hide armor. I know it doesn't seem like it, but I think in this case, like with leather, your AC is carrying you a lot. With this, your AC is not carrying you, or not AC, your dexterity mod isn't carrying you as much. So the one bonus actually does mean something, but I still wouldn't go crazy.
Yeah, I mean, with every point of AC matters a lot, but you still have to trade it for certain things, and this is one of those situations where you have to just kind of balance it.
Yeah. Our next piece is going to be scale mail. This is going to be 14 plus your dex mod, maximum of 2, making your max AC a 16. This is a good place to be in. This is also going to run you 50 gold and impose disadvantage on stealth. The reason I don't think it's as bad as when the leather is if you're wearing medium armor, odds are you're going to be a frontliner. I think this is so much more worth it than having the chain shirt, because it's the same price, and the disadvantage to stealth I don't think is as big of a deal when you're a big tanky person.
Just start, as soon as you get the scale mail, start asking for, what is it, boots of elven something.
Boots of elvenkind.
Elvenkind, yeah. Even out that stealth disadvantage, so you just have a flat, neither disadvantage or advantage, and good to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, worst case scenario, find yourself a cool druid who's with you who has pass without trace, and you get an automatic plus 10. There you go. Druids help your heavy metal people out.
But I think it's probably important to say that it is important to keep in mind these disadvantages to stealth, because they will always be a problem.
They will always be a problem, yes. But I do feel like when it comes to the disadvantage on stealth with these, stealth is going to be more used for the people who are trying to be sneaky, and I feel like this kind of character isn't trying to be sneaky. Is it going to hinder you? Yes, it is.
Yes.
But that one extra AC I think is going to be worth it for this kind of character.
For sure.
At 50 gold. However, if you have 400 gold just sitting around, you can upgrade to a breastplate, which is going to be the same AC, 14 plus dex, max 2, which makes your maximum AC a 16, and it doesn't have the disadvantage to stealth. If you've got the cash, go for it. This is, in my opinion, the best that you're going to get for a medium armored character. This is what I would go with. I would consider this top tier, even though it's not the highest AC.
I would stop here, too.
Because our next one is half plate, it's going to be 15 plus dex, maximum of 2 on that dex, which puts you at a 17. You have disadvantage on stealth, and it's also 750 gold. So peasants aren't going to be buying this. If you're
no, 750 gold.
There's so many better things you could get. And disadvantage on stealth is back. No. Yeah, so I think for that, when it comes to light armor, studded leather, it's a bit more... Or no, I think we said leather armor. Leather armor is where it's at, because it's cost efficient, but if you're busting into that 50 gold armor, go ahead for the studded. But when it comes to medium breastplate, that's a good stopping point.
Yeah, agreed.
heavy armor comes next. This is going to be your big tanky boys, except for barbarian. You don't get to wear armor. You have to run around naked. This takes 10 whole minutes to don or doff. So if someone is going to heat metal someone, this is the person you want to be heat metaling people, and we'll talk more about that when we talk about spells. But if you know, you know. All of these are going to have disadvantage on stealth, so you know right off the bat that this is tanky boys who aren't trying to be sneaky. You're kicking the door in. You're the person that, when it says stealth is an option, that's exactly what it is. It's an option, but it's not the one you're picking.
Yeah. At this point, you want to be seen, and then you want to kill.
Yes. So our cheapest heavy metal is going to be 30 gold. That's going to be ring mail. It's going to be a flat AC of 14. You do not get to add your dexterity to heavy metal. Or heavy armor. So for that, the dexterity doesn't even matter. If you're trying to play like a dex-based character, heavy armor is not for you. Because you're not going to be getting its main benefit. After that, we have chainmail, AC of 16. It requires you to have a 13 in strength to wear this, and it's going to run you 75 gold. I think this is a great deal. Personally. Because for 75 gold, like, you're getting the same as, like, what people are paying 400 gold for.
Yeah, give me a break. It's
amazing.
I guess the difference is you have to be a strong boy to use it, and it's the way to go for sure.
Yes. After that, we have splint mail. This is going to be an AC of 17. It requires a 15 in strength, but it's going to run you 200 gold. Again, if you are rich, this is amazing. This is probably where I would say stop if you're doing this purely by money. If you find the next one, great, but if you're paying, this is probably where I would stop. Because the 17 is respectable.
For sure. It's going to be hard to hit, but you're going to need a patron for this next one.
Yes, you will definitely need you need a sugar daddy for the next one. That's going to be plate armor. It's an AC of 18. Again, requires a strength of 15 to use. And it's going to run you a absolutely ridiculous 1,500 gold. This is where I come into the point of, like, where is D&D economics even at?
So some of these jumps are so huge that it doesn't make any sense. I think that the D&D economics is not is the most apparent when it comes to prices for armor. It's because it just jumps up by tenfold for no reason in the same little section.
I mean, because to me, with 1,500 gold as a commoner, that's the rest of your life. You're set. You make, if, like, obviously it's going to take a lot of skill to make armor that good. But, I mean, once you are, honey, like, what the fuck?
Good to go.
What are we doing here? Like, it's ridiculous. But if you have a really cool American healthcare cleric in your group, they might be able to help you get to the sum.
Yeah, maybe.
If the blacksmith is injured, maybe try wagering, like, hey, I will heal you in exchange for this. That's the only way you're affording this.
Yeah, plate armor, I just assume we're going to find in a chest in some dungeon somewhere. It's going to be the prize because of how powerful and expensive it is.
Yeah, this is what you get for beating a boss. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The next thing we have is a shield. What kills me about shield is there's no tier system for shields. It's just shield. And it's just going to give you a flat +2 to AC.
Big shield, +2 AC. Small shield, +2 AC.
You know those, like, have you seen, like, where the archers will have, like, the tiny shield right here?
Like,
+2 AC.
Yeah.
Those are only going to run you 10 gold. Get a shield if you're trying to be a tank. It'll help you.
Yeah, it's handy.
Because, I mean, if you have that illustrious plate armor plus a shield, you're at 20 armor class flat. Plus,
nothing's touching you.
Plus, if you have, a cleric who's over here giving you Shield of Faith for another +2, now you're at 22. Plus, if you take, the armored fighting style, now you're up to a 23. Like,
yeah, see you at the Dragon's Cave.
Good luck. Good luck to all those goblins who are raiding the village. They're just all going to be hitting you and doing no damage. Now, with armor, there does come armor training. If you're wearing armor that you are not proficient in, you have... excuse me. You have disadvantage to all rolls involving strength or dex, and you cannot cast spells. If you're not trained in how to use shields, you can carry one, but it will give you no benefit.
Oh,
You
well,
get nothing.
I guess just look cool, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah, train in your armor. Don't wear armor you can't wear.
Yeah.
It'll mess you up.
I will say though, gaining proficiency in things in D&D also takes an obnoxious amount of time. I feel like it's like to for your character to actually get a new proficiency in armor, it takes them like 2 years of actual in-game training. Like, who the fuck
It's
is playing a
it's
campaign
an
that's
art.
taking more than 2 years to do? Like, what campaign
Yeah,
is this?
I'm gonna need a 2-year montage for that one.
I feel like this
But
is
I
what
mean,
happens between, your group's first campaign and then their second campaign. 2 years later, the danger reemerges. Oh, I was doing armor training
the whole time,
the
and now
whole
I'm
time.
proficient. I'm wearing plate armor. Don't ask where I got it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's everything equipment-wise we're going to talk about today. If there's one takeaway that we have for you, it's short swords, ball bearings, and studded leather armor are the way to go.
Yeah,
Period.
you will be unstoppable, or at least nobody will be there to stop you because they'll be lying them flat on their ass. Oh, and get that what was it, toppling? Talk your DM into giving you
Oh
toppling
yeah,
for
for your
all your
dagger.
weapons. Yeah,
Get a toppling dagger.
it's a toppling dagger and your ball bearings, and you're just embarrassing everybody.
Yeah, because if they try to stand up on your ball bearings, they're gonna have to make another save, and they're just gonna fall again. I like this.
Yeah,
This is a build.
yeah, 100%. I think I'm gonna do this next time.
Right? Yeah, I hope you
It's exciting
do.
for me.
I hope you do. I'm always caught between wanting to play a character that's like the rogue that is just there for traps, like not necessarily damage. Like I want to lockpick, I want to find all the traps, I want to be like the utility rogue, and that very
Yeah.
much is what this feels like.
Oh, for sure,
Love
100%.
it.
Yeah.
So that's all we have for you today. Come back next week. We're going to talk about crafting. It's going to be a great time because I love crafting and I like a lot of the new rules that 2024 has given us. However, I have heard that there's a lot of homebrew that gives really, really cool rules. At some point, we might go over those. But until next time, make sure you come check us out Mondays, 8 p.m. for our Dion Rising stream. Wednesdays for tea times. We hope to see you there. And until then, I hope all of your intelligence checks are successful.